graveyard. So what they ended up doing was, if you come look over here, there's a plaque that actually states.
Here's what I consider the best history of the Mills House Hotel.
In our presence right now, who are you?
It's very scary. Who knows what's gonna happen? We're gonna be staying here overnight.
Burning in the heat of the fire.
Okay, guys, we made it. So we made it to the most haunted hotel in Charleston, South Carolina. Built during the Civil War, this was actually used as a holding house for Confederate soldiers. Even Robert E. Lee was said to be here, and there are now rumors of people who are staying at this hotel in modern day with Confederate soldiers walking back and forth of the hotel. What is the reason? And during the Great Fire, the Confederate soldiers would run down the hallways and get buckets of water to put out the fire and wet blankets to put out the fire. At that time, this hotel was only 5 floors tall, and now it is actually 7 floors tall. And the rumor is that there's confusion with the Confederate spirits, and they're not able to find the water to put out the fire. And now they're just constantly walking back and forth, back and forth. It's very scary. Who knows what's going to happen? We're going to be staying here overnight. What happens? So let's go take a look inside and see what's exactly inside the Mills House by Hilton. So you're greeted with really large black doors that are actually fairly heavy, and then there's a cafe where people are mingling, they're talking. But you know, I'm here to really uncover history. You can definitely see when you go down this hallway that it has been polished and rehashed. If you look back in the history of this hotel, you can see that it was bought and sold, and basically covering up all of the history that once was at the Mills Hotel. So what I decided to do was to actually go and contact a local expert, someone that really lived and breathed Charleston, South Carolina, someone that can uncover some of the history that has since been polished away from the Mills Hotel. So we actually found someone who knows a lot about the Mills House. This is
I know something about the Mills House.
So this is Larry. There's a couple stories he wants to share with you guys. So,
all right, now the Mills House Hotel, why I like to brag about it first, there's 2 things that happen there that are significant in history. Come on through.
Come on through.
Come on, you're part of the show now. Don't duck down. But we're not going to pay you character actor fees or nothing for this. You're going to have to just get through
no
it.
Release
okay?
forms or anything.
No. Do you want to rotate on the sidewalk anyway?
Would it be easier if we're coming this way? Boom, 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 boom.
Boom, 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 boom. All right, now here's what I consider the best history of the Mills House Hotel. Well, you know what? The war comes along, and that is the favorite place of the Confederacy. Lee, Pierre, Gustave, Toutant, Beauregard. If you's rich, you go into the Mills House. They got running water, flushing toilets. Oh, the aristocracy of Europe come here because of this phenomenal invention. We love our bathrooms. Well, you know what? Pierre Gustave Toutant Beauregard. He's from New Orleans. His name is PGT, Pretty Good Time Beauregard. He's a playboy down in New Orleans. He don't want to be a soldier. Years before, his daddy said, boy, you're going to have to go to school. So he picked West Point, pistol, alcohol, horses, cannons. It sounds like a good college, right?
Right.
But he's a logistician. Actually, what he does is he's the guy, the strategist that keeps the Army of the South moving. Otto kicked him out of the hotel in 1861. Well, you know what? It isn't too much longer, June of 61. There's a raging fire in Charleston. Oh, now it's not an act of war, it's an act of negligence. It's an Irish night watchman, I like to say, as a cousin of mine. He goes to work one night with a whiskey bottle and a lamplight. It's a cotton manufacturer. He gets drunk, the bottle falls over, and so does a lamp. Oh my God, the cotton house is on fire, and the wind is blowing, and it burns all across the city. Well, Pierre and Robert had just put all of the soldiers, including the kids that run the pumper trucks and regiments, and they marched them out of the city. They're 12 hours out of the city, and in the next 9 hours, half the city of Charleston burns. There's no fire trucks here. And when they got back the next morning, and everybody fled, Robert fled, Pierre fled, Otto fled. But when they got back the next morning, the only thing standing for 5 blocks was the Mills House Hotel.
Really?
Why? Because 13 Africans who were owned by Otto Mills, enslaved brothers and sisters, stayed at that hotel, threw quilts and blankets out the window. And because they had water on 7 floors, the flow control system, they were able to stand at every floor and dump water down the quilts to keep the building from burning in the heat of the fire. What did Otto do when he came back? He freed every one of those slaves and hired them back at a wage.
Really?
Yeah, it was 13 Africans who saved the Mills House Hotel during that fire. Some people will tell you it was Confederate soldiers. No, they all ran. The Africans did, because they were so proud. They were a part of. They were recognized as someone above and beyond,
Yeah.
because they took care of the system. They just didn't want that beautiful place to burn down.
Oh my God.
The Mills House Hotel. Haunted. All the buildings in Charleston are either overly happy or slightly angry. We're standing next to a liquor store. That's why I said overly happy. Oh, and haunted. Don't even want to talk about that. You're going to find that story from somebody else.
Okay, Larry, I'll go find that story from someone else. How about someone who works there?
So have you heard anything? You know, I heard it's like one of the most haunted hotels in South Carolina. I mean, you said you've been here for a long time. Have you heard anything about this? Anything of your own experiences at all?
Nothing personally, but I've heard stories of an older woman rocking a baby crying. Never seen anything personal, but in the area also there's an older cemetery that's under the parking garage that's directly behind the hotel. So there have been like some talk of that, like on the same block.
Yeah.
Or in the area, but.
And you said something about the Robert E. Lee room?
The Robert E. Lee room, which is a smaller meeting room that's right above where we're at. You also see the black wrought iron fencing in the front of the hotel. That was the sleeping quarters, so that was like the balcony of their bedroom. So in that one meeting room is basically where most of the activity, or I hear mention of people saying that's where they're looking for the activity.
Gotcha. Thank you. Charleston is one of those cities that has a lot of vibrancy in the morning, but as soon as night falls, it's a ghost town. Which is a good segue, because now I'm going to show you the history of the St. Philip's Church and one of the best evidences we've had for paranormal activity and an actual ghost sighting. See you there. Okay, so now we are at St. Philip's Church, which is also not too far from Queen Street. And this church has a really interesting story, honestly. We heard this on one of our tours, and I figured I'd share it with you guys as well. Basically what ended up happening, it seemed like maybe about 50 years ago, there was somebody who took a picture of this cemetery with a disposable camera. So it had to take some time, develop. What happened was he actually took that picture, went to go develop that film, and he actually saw an apparition of a woman a little bit past that taller tombstone right back there, a woman kneeling over and supposedly crying. And when that ended up happening was, he said, this is crazy. He sent it in to the company that created that disposable camera to see if it was tampered with, if there was an issue with rendering of the footage. And they came back and said there was no alterations. This is exactly how the film actually went out. So this was one of our biggest pieces of evidence that ghosts do actually exist. And when the church, St. Philip's Church, got a hold of this, well, they actually wanted to scrub any evidence or information that there are ghosts in this particular grave. That the only ghost at St. Philip's Church is the Holy Ghost, to pretty much scrub all evidence. And what they actually did so that this would never happen again and wouldn't repeat is they put this floodlight in the back, so this way any cameras with a flash would pretty much be rendered null and void. Pretty crazy history. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to walk just a few paces that way to Bloody Alley, where I'll give you a little bit more history. So right after the church, it's actually pretty close, it's connected, it's called Bloody Alley. And the reason they call this Bloody Alley is because this is where men used to go to duel. There was hundreds of duels all within this alleyway. And at this point in time, people have been reported that they would actually see men and soldiers walking back and forth constantly, as well as even women have been rumored to walk down the alley and actually get whistled at, as if there are men still roaming these lands. It is super eerie, and it seems very scary. Giant doors here. But it's actually still home to certain people. This is actually a residential house that people live in. So now we have a good fundamental understanding of the history of all the hauntings and why they're actually occurring in the first place. So what I decided to do was to enlist an expert, someone who's dealt with the supernatural before, poltergeists, and someone that's going to steer me on the right track to conducting my own paranormal investigation within this hotel. So I guess I'll see you there in the next clip. Okay guys, so for this stay, I actually enlisted an expert. I have a good friend named Gabe Matthews. I took one of his tours recently. He's actually the owner of Greenville Ghost Tours in Greenville, South Carolina. You know, this is where I live.
Is there anybody in our presence right now? Who are you?
My name is Gabe Matthews. I'm a certified paranormal investigator from Greenville, South Carolina. Through my paranormal journey, I felt a calling to start a downtown paranormal walking tour. This tour's mission is to teach about the paranormal, raise awareness for the unnatural, and in the end, to find the truth.
Why not today get the expert himself, and we're actually giving him a call. So Gabe, how's it going, man?
Hey, Anthony. It's going well. I actually I'm just hanging out here. I had taken a little break, eating some fruit brew, some monster cereal. I doing a review of it on my channel.
That's right. Yes, I actually did just see it. It's actually honestly pretty amazing. I did not think that there were that many types of monster cereals, and I know you actually did a few of them on your channel. If you guys want to check it out, his channel is called Paranormal TSPI. Go check it out. He's got a ton of interesting videos, especially if you're interested in the paranormal.
Yeah, I've been investigating for over 8 years, and I've been doing these ghost tours. And every time I do a tour, I get stories. I get people who have found, have had these experiences, and their experience is valid. We know that this has happened. Their experience, what they say, is true. And they send me photographic evidence. They sent me, sound recordings. And all this stuff, most of it, or not that they send, seems to be of paranormal origin. And as me, I try to document these cases and then do my own experimentation and evaluation to prove that they are paranormal, or maybe they're not paranormal. But it seems that these are unexplainable events that just occur.
So I told you, we spoke a little bit beforehand. I'm in this situation to where I'm in this hotel. Technically, they say it's the most haunted hotel in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm a little bit nervous, and I'm looking for advice.
Yeah. Well, what's the name of the hotel?
This hotel is called the Mills House by Hilton, actually.
Okay. I actually have heard of that, and apparently it was, they used it during the Civil War, and they had actually a fire in 1861. And the legend is that the spirits roam around looking for water to put out the fire.
Jesus Christ. Oh, God. Whew. So it's 6 o'clock right now. We still have some daylight, and we're probably going to go out for a little bit, and then we're going to come back around midnight.
So you're going to do a paranormal investigation?
I'm looking to do a paranormal investigation, yes.
Awesome. And well, please gather some evidence, and if you find anything, I'd be happy to do a full investigation there at the Mills House.
Now, you told me to actually gather a few things that I didn't have, but I do have one, which is a flashlight, a handy-dandy flashlight. Is there anything else?
You don't have a Ouija board or an obelisk or a spirit box?
In our presence right now, who are you?
I don't know. I don't know what 2 out of those 3 things are.
Do you have an SLS camera per chance?
No.
Do you have dowsing rods?
Nope.
You could probably make some dowsing rods out of clothes hangers, perhaps. But yeah, I think the flashlight would do. Maybe you could. Can you turn the flashlight on, and maybe how does the batteries work? Can you turn it so that the battery's loose, and maybe it would cause the flashlight to go off? So like you want to get it right in the middle of. So you have the flashlight on right now?
Yes. So
Okay.
yeah, it is on.
Turn it on. See the light. Okay, now spin it and see if you can get it to go off just by having the battery loose.
That's
so
right there.
Now put it back right on the edge. Now put it right on the edge, but off. Okay. But yeah, you wanted to have it really close to being on. So like, but then what you can do is you can set that down and talk to it, and a spirit can then, try to manipulate it to turn the light on. So you can ask questions and communicate with the spirit via the light. So that could be one way to communicate with the spirit using just the flashlight. And actually, since they are looking for water, if you could maybe get a glass of water and kind of put it out in your room, maybe that would bring the spirits to attract them. Maybe you could put the flashlight by the glass of water even.
That's a good idea, but it's a little bit scary. I'll be honest. Thinking about.
Now, are you alone?
I'm with one person.
Okay, good. Because the number one rule of paranormal investigation is not to go alone. So it's good to have a buddy. So if you run into any trouble, make sure if you have anything to do, any smudging ritual to maybe cleanse the space of any negative energy.
What is smudging for anybody that's...
Smudging is the act of burning sacred herbs for spiritual cleansing in order to cleanse an area of negative spirits. I like to use something like a white sage, Palo Santo, but really anything that you have, you know, if you have a lavender or a lavender candle, or you could even get some pine needles, you know, you can kind of burn that and kind of, you know, use it around the space in order to cleanse of any negative spirits. You might be okay, but I just don't want you to be infiltrated with any negative spirits or any negative energies.
So do you think there's a real possibility that if I decide to do the flashlight and do the water, that it is possible that I get, I guess, quote unquote, infiltrated by evil spirits?
Well, I'm not going to guarantee you will, but you know, during a lot of my paranormal investigations, we are able to communicate with spirits, and I hope that you're able to for your sake, and also I'm very interested now in Mill's house.
Do you think there's any? Do you think there's any repercussions to doing anything like this, an investigation of my own, since I'm not experienced in this?
Like, do you think like they'll follow you or inflict negative emotions or damage on your life?
Yes.
Yeah, it's certainly possible, and that's why I recommend being protected. You know, doing your smudging rituals, perhaps having some crystals that can keep you in a positive light and to ward off any negative energies. In most cases, in my experience with paranormal, you're not going to be running into a lot of really negative spirits. You'll have a lot of residual hauntings, you know, even some intelligent spirits. But if you run into a poltergeist or a demonic entity, that's kind of when you'll have problems. They're not as common, and if you do, definitely reach out to me, and I can guide you through any process. But I think if you're just kind of, you know, if you have something to smudge, you should be fine.
Well, Gabe, thank you so much for being here in my time of need. I'll be honest.
No problem. Anytime,
Yeah.
please. I want to see the evidence, so I can't wait to see what you gather. And if you need any help or any guidance, I'm here for you, Anthony.
Will do. And if I have to call in the middle of the night, then I hope you'll be there.
Yeah, any hour of the night, I will pick up the phone.
Much appreciated, sir. So go check him out. He's going to have amazing videos. And I believe he probably will investigate if I do find some evidence. So go and check out his channel. Leave it up on the screen right here. It's in the pinned comment. All right. Let's go to nightfall. All right, guys. So now it's actually midnight, and I'm walking around the hotel doing my own little investigation, taking all of Gabe's advice and just trying to see if there is any evidence of paranormal activity. I'm asking some of the people that work here their experiences, but so far, no dice. So we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep roaming the halls to see if we find any evidence of paranormal activity.
Why don't we conduct our own paranormal investigation, shall we?
I'm sorry. I am sorry, man. I had to. You went this whole video without a jump scare. I had to. So now, if you didn't hit up subscribe, please subscribe. And now let's go to the room where we actually did do a bit of an investigation at nighttime where I actually got scared. So sorry. I'll see you there. Okay. Okay, it is now 2 a.m. and I'm doing exactly what Gabe actually asked of us. I don't really want to, but we're going to try it anyway. And we have our glass of water for the soldiers to see if they would actually manipulate the water, and our flashlight. And he advised us to turn it on and unscrew it until it just turns off. right about there. Okay, so we're gonna go lights off, and I'll let you know if anything happens. Okay, so daybreak. So basically, last night I did everything. I left the camera on for a good amount of time. I had the water there, I had the flashlight there. Didn't really see anything happen. The only thing that was slightly odd was I remember some point in the middle of the night, maybe 6 a.m., 7 a.m., I just heard some knocking all around. I don't know if they were doing work. I don't know if that was just somebody in a different room, housekeeping, but somebody was knocking. It was a little freaky. And I have to say, when I turned those lights off last night and then left the camera on, I got the weirdest chills, man. I was so freaking scared. I was like pacing. I was running back to the bed to get under the covers. I do not like messing with the paranormal, so to say the least. So hopefully there are no spirits that actually want to follow me from this hotel all the way back to Greenville, South Carolina. But I guess I would say this experience is a success because I don't have to be freaked out for the rest of my life, knock on wood. And I guess if you want to see how I booked this stay in one of the most expensive and haunted hotels in all of Charleston, check out this video next because that's exactly how I did it. That was scary.